Okay, here we are again. It's a nice day in May. Nice enough for the Midnight Skeptic to start ranting about things that are wrong with this country and a lot of things that are right with this country. Okay, it is going out, it being this broadcast, is going to go out on KPCA LP 103.3 FM this coming Sunday, meaning tomorrow. I'm recording this on Saturday, which is quite late for me. But anyway, here it goes. It's about 1:30 and on a Saturday, and tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, if you tune in to 103.3 locally or worldwide at kpca.fm, you will be treated to another 58 minutes of ranting by the Midnight Skeptic. So here's my play-in music. You are listening to KPCA LP, Petaluma, California, at 103.3 FM and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. And this is the Midnight Skeptic. The views of the Midnight Skeptic are not, repeat, not necessarily the views of KPCA or any of its affiliates. Welcome to the new and improved Midnight Skeptic. How could this show possibly be improved? You may be asking yourselves. Okay, I've added short book reviews and recommendations about contributions to nonprofits, which are mainly environmental organizations, and but mainly the goals of the Midnight Skeptic, which have not changed over these 7 years, is to rid this country of GOP, MAGA heads, Republicans, conservatives, and make this country a happy place again, a kinder place again, not a MAGA country. Make America great again. When that first appeared on those stupid red caps, and I was informed of what MAGA stood for, Make America Great Again. None of the very few people that I questioned about that could name a time when America was great. Most of them, especially the Christians, want this country to revert back to the 50s and 60s, where women stayed at home, raised the kids, cooked for the father who came home from work with his, briefcase off the commuter train or driving home in his car, and wore a tie to work always. And the kids were rushed to the door to give the father a hug. And the wife wore a set of pearls and cooked a dinner for them all. And then they sat around all together watching TV. That was the world that most MAGA heads would like us to return to. Especially, we didn't have to worry about brown people, Mexicans, and black people knew their place. Okay, that is the world that the orange sociopathic bloat bags followers would like us to return to. Okay. Shout outs. Okay. Uh, the Mickey Huff and his two cohorts, Nolan Higdon and Andy Lee Roth, and their project Censored. Please go to their website and sign up for their newsletter. And once a year, they come out with a book, The State of the Free Press, in 2023, 2024 will be the next one. And the newsletter is just chock-a-block full of good information that readers of the newsletter should take into consideration. Okay, Art Kuznets and Nariman. I haven't heard from Nariman in quite a while. Hope you're okay. And let's see, Project Censored.org will get you to their website. Okay, again, locally here in Petaluma, John Crowley, the owner of Aquas Cafe and a promoter of groups that meet there. And he's succeeded in creating a community of people that are like-minded. And they have good food there, beer on tap, wine, and I would say the food they serve there is very good, but it's light fare, sandwiches and so on. Okay, Tom Gaffey at the Phoenix Theater, sort of the kindly uncle to a lot of the alternative teens that hang out there. Okay, Tim Conrad, Tom and Nancy, Kevin and Lori, Dave and Rosita Takach in Sacramento, Rich and Kathy Berger in Sebastopol, Dennis and Megan down in Tiburon, Yvonne and Rick in San Francisco, and Stan and Kathy in Pacifica. Kathy, I hope you're doing a lot better. Aunt Jackie and Samantha and Melanie, her two daughters. My brother Brandon, it was nice seeing you again last Saturday. And Andrea, the nurse, their daughter, my niece, and her husband Tim, and their three little terrorists. Okay, the snake lady, Karina Hilliard, the snake removal lady, animal control specialist in Patagonia. And that's a town I've never been in. I'd like to visit that place sometime. It's a small town, but big enough to have an animal control officer. Okay, in Arkansas, Shannon Reed. Florida, Nelson and Alice Lydell. And also Amelia Beamer. I hope you're surviving all these bad weather events, tornadoes and whatnot. Go to YouTube to Locus, Locus magazine, and you will see Amelia Beamer on there telling you what that month's issue of Locus magazine will be reviewing in the three genres of science fiction, horror, and fantasy. Okay. Dr. Dave in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, the world's finest pulmonary doctor, now retired from both his practice and from Smith GlaxoSmithKline. And he is an artiste now, and he has a very unique take on reality, which he paints about. And he splits his time between Raleigh-Durham area and Chicago, where he shows a lot of his works at various venues up in Chicago. Okay. Let's see. Up to Long Island, Geraldine Goldfinger. And back here on the West Coast, the Sonora crowd. Robert Finnegan, Fig, as we call him. Bob Fisher and Sandy, his wife, and his two children, Martha and Brad. Brad is the curator of the Gold Country Museum and Historical Society right there in Sonora. You have to drop in there if you're ever up that way and see it. Darrell Larson, Judy May, Kathy Francis, and Lynn Quayle. And up to Twain Hart, John Gleason and his two daughters, Tiffany and Jennifer. Happy birthday, Jennifer. And all the way down in Mexico City, Rosamalia Lopez Negrete. Okay, so I've gotten all that out of the way. And here's my first recommendation, and it will lead to kind of a riff on my part. I'd like you all, listeners out there, to help Ricky Gervais, the English comedian, and a few other celebrities who have banded together. Let's see, Judi Dench is one of them, and Stephen Fry, another, in their efforts to end bear bile farming in Asia, specifically Vietnam and China, in that practice for good. Why bear bile? Animals Asia, which is an umbrella organization that they are under, needs your help through Charities Aid Foundation of America. Bear bile is used in traditional Chinese medicine, i.e., non-scientifically researched cure-alls. In other words, snake oil. Bear bile is useless as a cure for anything, as is the majority of traditional Chinese medicines. Some herbal medicines that you can pick up in a Chinese herbalist shop, which we have a lot of in San Francisco, are worthless. Some of them have, in fact, been researched scientifically and through medicinal experiments. And but the vast majority of them have not been clinically proven to be useful at curing anything. And the arguments that I've heard are, well, they've used it for, it's ancient wisdom. They've used it for 2,000 years. Doesn't matter. It still needs to be researched in a scientifically useful manner. Clinical research will determine the efficacy of these herbal remedies. Excuse me. Otherwise, what got me off on this rant, not today, but when I started this program 7 years ago, when KPCA was first starting out, I was a confirmed skeptic, which I still am, but alternative medicines were one of the things that I really liked to read about and tee off on. And then that carried over into the Midnight Skeptic. The Midnight Skeptic has become primarily um, um, political in nature now, but now and then I will still tee off on things that the Skeptical Inquirer magazine and Center for Inquiry tee off on, which is alternative medicines. And I will do another segment on those in the near future. Ghosts, UFOs, crop circles, and all that kind of BS. And people that believe in them are just fools. Okay, so let me reiterate this again. Help Ricky Gervais and his other cohorts in their efforts to end bear bile farming, which is cruel. And they're kept in cages until it's time to remove their bile. And Animals Asia, which is an organization, needs your help. And I'm not sure exactly about this organization, which is Charities Aid Foundation of America. They're the money collecting arm of Animals America, I believe. I will be more specific about this on next week's show. Okay, here is this new topic. A good quote of the day. Quote, religion is an insult to human dignity. With or without it, you would have good people doing good things and evil people doing evil things. But for good people to do evil things, that takes religion. And who said this? Steven Weinberg, a Nobel Prize winning physicist. Okay? He won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1979. And also he said, quote, anything that we scientists can do to weaken the hold of religion should be done, and may in the end be our greatest contribution to civilization. Hear, hear. Steven Weinberg. I think he's no longer with us, unfortunately. All right. Bad news from Missouri, which is usually the fount of all bad news lately. Mainly because Republicans control the state government. Okay, Missouri House Bill 2446 would grant licensure to naturopaths as, quote unquote, physicians. A regulatory framework would be set up, but the board of regulators would be composed of other naturopaths. Talk about the fox guarding the hen house. A discredited practice such as naturopathy requires greater governmental oversight and regulation, not less. I need a sip of water here. Okay. And of course, Republicans, especially MAGA heads, do not want governmental regulation over anything. Naturopathy is a system that uses natural remedies whatever that means, to help the body heal itself. Yes, I agree completely with that. The body does have a tendency to heal itself. Okay, and once in a while, we need help. We, meaning our bodies, needs help with its healing process. That's what we have physicians, real physicians for, not naturopaths or homeopaths or acupuncturists. All of them are bogus. Okay, okay, I'm off my notes. Naturopathy is a system that uses natural remedies to help the body heal itself. It embraces many therapies, such as herbs, a lot of which need to be clinically tested, massage. Okay, massage feels good, it relaxes you, which in itself is a help to the body healing itself. Acupuncture, exercise. Exercise is always a good thing. And nutritional counseling. If the nutritional counselor is a trained nutritionist, then fine. Okay. Herbs are okay if the herb in question has been subjected to rigorous clinical testing. Massage is very relaxing and invigorating, and reputable massage therapists do not make healing claims beyond that. Acupuncture is bunk and a pseudoscience. Enough of that. Exercise is always good. Nutritional counseling should be done by a certified nutritionist. Just eat more leafy vegetables and fruits and less red meat. Mind your microbiome. Okay. Britt Hermes, Hermes, is a former naturopathic doctor, and they abbreviate him ND, turned critic of the field. Naturopathic doctors also practice homeopathy, a completely discredited pseudoscience. She calls herself a previous, quote-unquote, fake doctor. Her words. She has a PhD in microbiome sciences. Timothy Caulfield, a professor of health law at University of Alberta in Edmonton, says he understands why naturopathy appeals to some consumers. Naturopathic doctors are attentive and treatment plans are personalized, but many of their treatments aren't evidence-based. And then this is a quote from him, Timothy Caulfield. Quote, I went to a naturopath and it was a totally pleasant experience, but I left with a $250 bill in homeopathic solutions and herbal supplements that are completely useless, unquote. Evidence, evidence, evidence. Reason and science, okay, are things that naturopathic colleges such as Bastyr, Bastyr, do not participate in wholly and as much as is necessary. Okay, new topic. Facts that have to be relearned by us all. No, not by us all, by Christians. Okay. We are not a Christian nation as fundamentalist, evangelical, Christian nationalists would insist that we are. In 1787, when the framers excluded all mention of God from the Constitution, they were widely denounced as immoral, and the document was denounced as godless, which it is. It's precisely what it is, godless. Its opponents, the Constitution's opponents, challenged ratifying conventions in nearly every state, mainly because of Article 6, Section 3, which states, quote, "No religious test shall be required as a qualification to any office." An anti-federalist in North Carolina, wrote, quote, "Pagans, deists, and Mohammedans might obtain office among us." Mohammedans, and he spells it Mahommetans. They were completely ignorant of the Islamic faith back then. All they knew was they were just brown-skinned people from the Near East area, which was the Ottoman Empire at that time. Okay. And then Amos Singletary of Massachusetts said, quote, "A papist or infidel was as eligible as a Christian to obtain office." And excuse me. Okay. I will, by next week's show, I will Google Amos Singletary and see who he is. He's probably some pastor. Okay. Where am I? Okay. I didn't write down bad news for this to introduce this topic, but I should have. The orange sociopathic bloat bag met with fossil fuel executives at Mar-A-Lago on April 11th and said they should pony up $1 billion for his presidential campaign. And in return, he would roll back environmental rules and Biden's energy policies. His administration, should he win, would discourage EVs, electric vehicles, and a transition to clean energy. Okay, the orange sociopathic bloat bag, if you remember, said that wind farms just kill birds. And in fact, some birds are killed because of them. And he said also that you can get cancer from windmills. Jesus, what? Donald, the orange sociopathic bloat bag is, without a doubt, the stupidest president we've ever had. Okay, that's my moment of ranting. Okay, back to the meeting. His administration would discourage electric vehicles and a transition to clean energy. Harold Hamm, Hamm, an oil billionaire, organized this particular event at Mar-A-Lago. The American Petroleum Institute lobbyists and Exxon execs were the primary attendees here. And who is Harold Hamm? I lost my place. Harold Hamm. Okay, he's the guy that came up with fracking in shale oil deposits in order to extract every last ounce of oil out of a well. Well, fracking, he doesn't care about communities drinking water because the chemicals and contaminated water that fracking injects down into wells to create pressures that force up more oil, it seeps into the water table and contaminates the water of communities. Does Harold Hamm care? Not a whit. Excuse me. Okay, so if the orange sociopathic bloat bag were to win, and again, I say that I don't think he will. Excuse me again. Okay, I don't think he will, but if he should, in addition to the nightmare 4 years to follow, we will be drowning in contaminated water, massive amounts of CO2 in the air, pollutants in the air, a global warming. That's what we have in front of us if the orange sociopathic bloat bag should win the election. All right. Very good news for the environment from Florida. Ooh, no less. Florida Congressman John Rutherford, who's a Republican, introduced House H.R. 6212, preserving recreation, oceans, tourism, environment, and coastal towns. And it spells out, protect. It's oh boy. Really bent over backwards to get that acronym spelled out to protect. But anyway, it's a good bill. H.R. 6212. It would prevent oil drilling off the Florida coast. It codifies the moratorium in oil and gas leasing, seismic testing, and exploration in federal waters off the coast of Florida until 2032. And it's a bipartisan bill. Strange enough as it may seem, there were actually Republicans for this. Okay. New topic. Good news. Transgender activists are flooding Utah's tip line, where reports of bathroom usage by people who present differently from their birth gender can be called in for, to be investigated by, Utah State Police or the District Attorney's Office, whoever investigates these reports off the tip line. Okay, but transgender activists all over the country are phoning into the Utah tip line, and I believe that Virginia or North Carolina, I forget, also have a tip line to protect real people from transgender people. Okay. Here's a quote from a trans girl about going to the restroom. And I should have written down the quote exactly, plus her name. But she was born male and transitioned to female in her preteen years. Anyway, she said, I don't see what the big deal is. You go into a girl's bathroom, you go into a stall, you do your business, you flush the toilet, you leave the stall, wash your hands, and leave the bathroom. What's the big deal? She said, and I agree totally. Are the Republican MAGA heads in favor of stationing a bathroom monitor in every bathroom in America to protect our innocent girls? I don't know. Okay, now on that topic, the stupidest comment I heard, and I heard this personally, it was on television, some interview show. It was with Mike Huckabee, some preacher who was elected governor of Arkansas. And the topic of transgender came up. And he said, well, what if I started feeling kind of girlish and I want to go into a girl's bathroom and watch them do their thing? Do I put on a dress and a wig and just go on in there? And I'm paraphrasing, but this is essentially what he said. Are right-wing boys or Christian boys or right-wing boys so desperate to see what goes on in a girl's bathroom that they would go through all of this just to go in there? Well, Mike Huckabee seems to think so. He's a stupid man, and it doesn't tell me much about the voters in Arkansas that they chose this douche to be their governor for, I don't know whether he served 2 terms or what, either 4 or 8 years. And his equally stupid daughter is now the governor of Arkansas. Anyway, it just goes to show you how little understanding right-wingers, Christians, Republicans have of the phenomenon of gender dysphoria. They continue to call it men pretending to be women. Okay, sip of water. Okay, good news and bad news. As reefs, the ocean reefs, continue to bleach around the world at alarming rates, scientists are racing to study and preserve a remarkable coral reef nestled among offshore oil platforms in the Gulf of Mexico. It is one of the healthiest coral reefs in the world. It's called the Flower Garden Banks National Marine Sanctuary. It is far enough from the shore to have avoided overfishing and coastal pollution, and the water is still about as cold as corals can tolerate. No oil spills have yet occurred here, and the area's unique undersea geology has protected corals and encouraged coral growth. Offshore oil platforms have to be regulated for safety issues to prevent oil spills or excessive oil spills. In an oil drilling platform, you will never completely shut off oil spills, even in less amounts. Okay, so remember this: the Flower Garden Banks National Marine Sanctuary. Okay. Bad news. New topic. Occidental Petroleum, which is Oxy for short, OXY, is using the fig leaf of CCS, carbon capture and sequestration, as a license to pollute. The Midnight Skeptic, me, has warned my listeners and viewers for many years now that carbon capture and sequestration is faulty science and does not help as much as oil companies would have you believe. It's a good idea to try to do this, suck carbon out of the air or suck carbon dioxide, and then solidify it somehow and bury it under the ground deep. Yes, that's a good idea, but it just doesn't work. At least it doesn't work enough to help with rising carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere. But what it does do is give the fossil fuel industry an excuse to keep drilling and for oil and gas. Okay, there's an organization called Carbon Market Watch, and they say, and they keep track of things like this, like the CCS. They say Oxy, a Texas company, of course, focus on carbon capture allows it to claim emissions reductions while continuing to profit from the sale of their fossil fuels. And I don't know. Some environmentalists have been sucked into the fantasy that carbon capture and sequestration, CCS, is a way to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. It does so minusculely that it might as well not be done, and the fossil fuel industry just uses this as a fig leaf for them to keep drilling. In fact, one of the Republican mantras that is being resurrected by the orange sociopathic bloat bag and others is drill, baby, drill. Okay, bad news. And this is an anti-recommendation. Parents of autistic children, do not send your kids to Shrub Oak School, one of the most expensive therapeutic boarding schools in America. It opened in 2018 in New York. No New York State agency has authority over Shrub Oak, and parents report excessive restraining practices, medication mix-ups, and a very limited staff. Just don't send your kids to Shrub Oak, even if you can afford it. It's 200 and some odd $1,000 per year for tuition and treatment. Um, just don't send your kids to Shrub, capital SHRUB, capital OAK, Shrub Oak School. Avoid it like the plague. And I know that parents of autistic kids have the best of intentions, but just don't send your kids there. Okay. Whew. Good news at last. More states are allowing child support payments from fathers to actually reach the children instead of going back into the state's coffers to reimburse the state for giving the children's mothers welfare at some point, food stamps or payments to mothers to help with raising the kids. The states want to be repaid for all that. And those are almost all GOP-run states. At least 6 states, all of GOP-run, have rewritten their laws to allow the money to flow directly to kids. That's good news. And I don't know who convinced the Republicans to do this, but that's a good thing. Okay, that is the end of my notes. Now, a bit of a riff. The Midnight Skeptic, this show that I'm recording right now on YouTube and for dissemination via kpca.fm, started out as a scientifically skeptical broadcast when we had a meeting, an organizational meeting down at KPCA at their downtown Petaluma offices. There were about 20 of us or so, most of them kids to me, but they were like in their 20 to 30 to 35 who wanted to be DJs. Okay, that's fine. My musical tastes go back mainly to the 60s and 70s. And, here's a recommendation. This is a little side thing. I'll come back to it when my brain freeze goes away. But I was the only one at this meeting that was not going to be a DJ because my musical tastes. And when Rob Tomaszewski, the station manager, came around with his clipboard signing people up and writing down what our type of music was, I told him that, I'm not really wanting to be a DJ, but I'll do a talk show. He said, fine. What do you want to call it? And just kind of off the top of my head, I came up with the Midnight Skeptic. So he wrote it down and assigned me a time, which evolved into 9 o'clock on Sunday night. Okay. All right. Dire Straits, Sultans of Swing, but not the studio version. If you go on YouTube, look up their live performance in 1983 at this, I can't remember the venue, but Sultans of Swing, Dire Straits, 1983 live performance. That's their best version of Sultans of Swing. Alchemy. It was the live concert was called Alchemy. I urge all of my listeners to go to YouTube and listen to that. It will transform your life. Okay, this is the ending recommendation from the Midnight Skeptic. Here's my play out music. You have been listening to the Midnight Skeptic on KPCA LP, Petaluma, California. And we're at 103.3 on the FM dial and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. Support community radio at patreon.com/Petaluma Community Access. And remember, think critically, think logically, but live joyously, and most importantly, pet your cats. Okay, that's the end of this week's show. So I will do this again next week. I'm not sure which day I'll be recording it, but I'll be here. So that's it. And goodbye, everybody. Tune in Sunday night if you're listening to an FM radio station, or as soon as I finish this, I'll download it to YouTube. Goodbye, everybody.